Okay, and then J. Jones. If I might ask two questions, one a theological one and the other one just one of curiosity. No pressure to answer either one, though. No problem. Dave, I can honestly say that from examining your art, writing, and listening to multiple hours of you speak, that you are an intelligent person, a thinker. Well, thank you. It's evident in how methodical and thoughtful you are in all your work. Yet there's something I can't reconcile. You say that you adhere to Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I'm going to correct that and go, those always have to be in the correct order, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It's prejudicial to put Christianity first. But the core beliefs are contradictory, namely whether God is knowable and how he is known. One can't be a credible follower of Jesus and yet simultaneously claim to follow Muhammad or Moshe, especially the law of Moshe, which is impossible to keep anyway due to the absence of a physical temple and the demolishing of the priesthood and their genealogies around 70 A.D. Okay, let me correct a couple of things there. I don't think you can follow Jesus without understanding that Jesus was a follower of Moshe and of the law of Moshe. He refers to the law of Moshe specifically and in many different ways, sometimes saying this doesn't apply anymore or this never did apply, but also in saying this is why you need to do this because it's in the law and the prophets, and consequently it's part of the law of Moshe. Muhammad, again, I draw a distinction between John's Gospel and the Synoptic Gospels, and I think Muhammad is the Paraclete, which the Johannine Jesus refers to multiple times, starting in chapter 14 of John's Gospel. It definitely fits all the facts of Muhammad. So consequently, that's a matter of interpretation where, whatever it is that you as a Christian and whatever your Christian sect or following believes about the Paraclete, that's all still theoretical. There's no 100% Christian consensus on who the Paraclete is that the Johannine Jesus is referring to. A lot of people would say that it's St. Paul. I could certainly see a persuasive argument for that, but personally I don't think that is the case. I think that Moshe, followed by Jesus, followed by Muhammad, is the primary touchstones of the three faiths, and all, to me, are beginning, middle, and end. This is God's revelation of himself through the hand of these prophets. The core teaching of Christianity are that Jesus is the Son of God. John 1 expressed visible image of the invisible God. Colossians 1:15. Yet Islam claims he was not. The Quran 4:171. The entire historicity of Christianity rests on that claim. That's the reason Jesus was crucified. John 5:18. So my side note, the polite challenge would be, you can't serve three masters. Choose one. Who will it be? I encourage him and all others to follow that most compelling, inspiring person in history, the Son of God, Jesus. There's some technical problems there too. It's an opinion that Jesus was a person. There are definitely Christian sects who believed from the beginning that Jesus was spirit. He did not have no physical presence in the world. He wasn't a person. He was God from the beginning, incarnated in human form. So I would also take issue with the three masters. To me, the only master is God. I submit to the will of God, and I try to, as much as possible, follow whatever it is inside of me, my indwelling spirit, in whatever direction I think it is that God is leading me. But I don't consider Jesus my master, and I don't consider Moshe my master, and I don't consider Muhammad my master. God is the master. Those three to me, and the other prophets and messengers, are conduits for God's revelation of himself to the world. But all of that is open to interpretation, as we have seen. I mean, I can read the interlinear version of Colossians 1:15 and probably take issue with what it is that your translation is saying. That's why I think one of the things that Islam brought to the table was the idea of submission to the will of God. Not God will tell you exactly how everything works and what opinions are accurate and what opinions are lies. That's why you submit yourself to the will of God. You will find the opinion that you're most persuaded by as a monotheist, as I did in all three revelations, and as most other people do in, like you say, pick one. But that presupposes that Muhammad is an apex individual that I don't think Muhammad presented himself as being, that Jesus was an apex person that I don't think he presented himself as being, although there are verses that definitely have that compelled inference. And I don't think Moshe considered himself an apex person. They all thought of themselves as servants of God. God speaks to them, and their response was, "Here am I." And that's all they're going to contribute on their side. They're there to listen as a servant listens to his Lord. So that's as distilled as I can get on that one. If you want to follow up, I always maintain personal perspective. The amount of time that you spent typing out the question and the amount of time that I spent explaining where I disagree with you and why my observance is different, that to me is monotheistic quibbling, and our time is better spent reading Scripture aloud and contemplating Scripture while we're reading it aloud, because you and I both take it as a given that Scripture is truth. So consequently, it's far better to be enunciating truth and participating in it, I think, than it is to be quibbling about, this is how I interpret this verse, and you going, I don't interpret it that way, I interpret it this way. We take it as a given. We're never going to agree on religious observance, but I hope we can agree that reading Scripture aloud is efficacious and non-confrontational and not basically a waste of time. It's always going to be beneficent, where I find very little quibbling, monotheistic or otherwise, beneficent. I find it mostly just, we can do this if you want, but there are better uses of both of our time. Number two, if it wouldn't open any old wounds or cause any other unintended discomfort, could I ask what your current relationship with Jim Valentino is? Hadn't spoken years. Definitely. The last time I would have spoken to Jim Valentino would have been when Image was starting, I think. I'm pretty sure, he was, when all the Image guys were doing WonderCon and I was at WonderCon, I definitely spoke to all of them, not at any length, because, they were the Image guys. They had bigger fish to fry at the time. But definitely not with any acrimony. Still friendly. Jim sent me a couple of his books personalized, which was very, very nice of him to do. And I've got them in the Off-White House library, and always privileged in my own mind because it was signed by the creator. He was very sick. He had a rough early 2024. He was very sick for a time. Sorry to hear that. And I think that's one of those information technology things where that word doesn't spread quite as quickly as we think it does. And particularly for those of us that don't participate online, I never find out things like that unless Matt Dow tells me. I don't find out about it. I hope Jim's coming around, and I hope that he has as many years ahead of him. As I read the history of his Normal Man character, had your Aardvark Anaheim not existed, his career might not have taken off. This is made evident even in the latest 40th anniversary omnibus that came out, which, interestingly, a picture of William Mesterlose posted just today on the Cerebus blog shows him reading. He drew one episode of Normal Man. I think Jim would still have had a career, particularly in the fact that at the time that he submitted Normal Man to Aardvark Anaheim, Don Simpson had also submitted Megaton Man. And Cat Ironwood was the one who was doing Eclipse at the time with Dean Mulaney. Saw Normal Man. Jim, I think, pitched it to her, and she basically said, this will be a good flagship title for Aardvark Anaheim, where they can do a color title and make more money than you can make on black and white comics, which was definitely the way she was looking at things at the time, and said to Denny, if Aardvark Anaheim doesn't publish this, then I'll publish it. And Denny then, sort of presented that to me as an ultimatum. We can publish this and we can make a lot of money because it's a color comic and it's very accessible and it's probably going to be a big hit. But if we don't publish it, then Cat Ironwood's going to publish it and they'll make all the money. And it's like, okay, as it panned out, the large number of sales that we got on Normal Man, because it was a color title, were offset by how much it cost to have Murphy Anderson doing the color and printing a color book, which is one of those, you don't know that until you know that. So, open question. There's no control group on that. How would Jim Valentino's career have done if Eclipse had published Normal Man, and how would Don Simpson's career have gone if Aardvark Vanaheim had published Megaton Man, as I wanted to, with a color cover and black and white interiors, instead of Kitchen Sink Press, who ended up publishing Megaton Man. All of those things are open questions. Not trying to stir up controversy, just sincerely interested. Thank you for your kindness towards me, and with a heartfelt handshake, J-Tunes. And same thing on my side. It's I really have no acrimony against anyone in the comic book field. It's long term, and definitely long term is a central consideration with me. I wish everybody well on Judgment Day, because I do think Judgment Day is going to happen, and there could be a lot of misinterpretation going on, and any number of devout atheists could possibly be going to a great reward. That's up to God, and that's not something I would know or have any way of figuring out. So that extends to William Messner Loebs, Don Simpson, Jim Valentino, anybody that I knew and had any experience with. It's impossible to keep up with everybody, and unfortunately it's a situation where usually the next time that I'm going to have a front and center experience is when I find out that the person died, because we're all leading finite lives.